Hi, welcome to TWVocalize chat. My name is Briana Valencia.
My name is Kevin
And we have not talked to you guys in a while. And today we're going to bring some awareness around a new bill Governor Ducey signed. This bill, SB 1164, outlaws abortions in Arizona after 15 weeks. So we're just going to tell you a little bit about what this bill entails, what this means, and what's going to happen in the future because of this bill. We're here to inform you.
So, like a brief history and overview for the personal story. Governor Ducey signed a bill banning abortion 15 weeks of pregnancy in almost every circumstances. This law includes limiting expectations to medical care. It was voted down party lines. Doctors who performed the procedures after 15 weeks are subject to prosecution and a Class 6 felony and face revocations and suspensions. It's just one of those days of their medical licenses. Women are immune from persecution.
So women cannot get prosecuted if they get an abortion, and the medical exceptions are only in case of medical emergencies. It includes life-threatening conditions. That would be the only reason a woman couldn't get an abortion in the state of Arizona after 15 weeks. Arizona's current abortion law that we have right now, before this new one kicks in, is already heavily restrictive against women's women's right to an abortion. Oh my goodness.
See, we're just having one of those days, aren't we?
Let's start over. That didn't happen. Arizona's current abortion laws are really heavily restrictive against women trying to get an abortion procedure, such as Medicaid recipients. They cannot use Medicare for financial coverage. Most insurances will not cover it. It limits information that medical providers deliver to patients in case of their option for abortion. So a doctor can't really tell you if there's something that would cause you to want to get an abortion. So the voter. Oh, I thought I heard something. We just wanted to talk a little bit more about like what this also means. So if someone is 15 weeks pregnant and they want to go get this procedure, they can't. So I don't know what this is. Us just letting you know what this bill is. This is something Governor Ducey signed. Our governor of Arizona, everyone's governor. So what does this mean for everyone else in Arizona? And right now we're talking to everyone, but also like young women. We're reaching out to youth. So Kevin, what is your opinion, like exactly on this? But let's stick to the facts and inform everyone out there what this can possibly mean for the future.
I think it's not great at all, to be kind of words. It just seems like we're so focused on limiting what a woman say for her body and what she could do and for her life, especially given the circumstances. If this is a girl and she's just like a young child and she wants to have an abortion because she wants to fully live her life before having that grand step of having a child,
Yeah.
Or like, just if you weren't ready, or if you were in a very terrible situation where you don't want your former spouse or the person who caused you to become pregnant child, it just makes you feel stuck with that situation where you most likely want to just forget about that past. And it just seems the ones who voted for this law to be passed and the ones who are pushing for it and just don't have a full understanding of, other than just women in general, but like just what is human decency. Like, I understand, like it feels like a person who's just afraid when they just found out like their significant other's pregnant. And they just become pressuring, and they just become, you're going to ruin my life, you're going to do that. And I feel like it's like kind of having that mentality and forcing it upon everyone and making them feel like they're more in charge than not letting the woman have a say.
Yeah.
And it just seems just ridiculous.
I think there's like a lot of factors that come into play. It's like one, no one should be able to tell you what you can and can't do with your body, like no matter how far along you are, because that's your choice, that's your life, that's whatever moral factors or religion or beliefs someone has, you can't push down to someone else whether you believe it's right or wrong. I can strongly be against something that someone else is doing, but it's not my business and it's not my choice, as long as we're not like doing something crazy, like knocking down buildings. I don't know, something that doesn't harm others. But when it's your body, it's your choice, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on. Like, no one's gonna sit here and like force women to do something they don't want to. But the reality is, these lawmakers and right now our governor that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying your body is not your choice, and we're gonna make legislation on it. But how come we don't put same legislation on men's body, on having them have a vasectomy, and then when you're ready, because it's you can't just be having premarital sex and having all these children, it's a religion thing, but it's like the same concept. How come this is okay but that's not okay? Because they say so, or it's against their religion or something, their beliefs, that's not right. But I don't think it's anyone else's choice except that person going through it. And one thing also I want to bring up is that there's evidence that shows abortion rates are higher in countries where there's limited access to contraception. So if we poured a lot of this money, time, and energy into education, into health classes, into educating youth on safe sex and contraception, and we actually gave access to contraception to everybody, maybe we wouldn't have like unwanted pregnancies, or even if pregnancies are wanted, maybe the timing isn't right. There is so many factors that come into play when someone makes that choice, and I don't think anyone has sat there and made that choice and have been like, oh, it's just as easy as picking out an outfit for the day. No, it's an incredibly difficult choice. For someone to have to sit there and make that choice in the first place, I think they're making it seem like it's all like a willy-nilly like decision, like, oh, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go to the clinic. And no, it's something that's very hard, and physically, emotionally. So I think if they're taking that step to go get an abortion, you don't have the right to judge them. You don't have the right to stop them. But this new bill, SB 1164, that's exactly what it's doing.
And it just feels like I just don't know how to really speak on it. It's kind of like going back to what you were saying even earlier. Like, the people who are passing these laws probably wouldn't want these restrictions put onto themselves, especially men. If you wouldn't if you're a man, and some of these guys who might pass the bills, they might not want to hear oh, okay, you have to get a vasectomy at this age.
Yeah.
You had to do this, do that, and do this in order to have this kid. And if you had all these restrictions, you have all this, you might even tell yourself, I want to live my life freely. Yeah. The same thing with women. Let them live their life. It's not in control, and it's not based off religion. If you have your own religion's beliefs, that's great. But don't base that off of someone else who might have something that's different. A different belief than yours. And it just seems these people who pass these laws are just of a toxic mentality of they're always right. What they're saying goes, and they either fall back on something that's either a high power that makes them feel like they have to do this, which is not true, and they just get this kind of sense of power that they feel like they're almighty when they're not.
I honestly think this week especially, Governor Ducey has passed numerous bills, all the way down from voter integrity to putting new restrictions on abortion rights. And so there's a lot going on currently right now, but I think it's also really focusing in on Roe versus Wade and what's going on overall in the country. So putting these bans or these restrictions on abortions do not stop abortions. What they end up doing essentially is stopping safe abortions. Women are still going to find a way, to end the pregnancy if they want to, but what's going to end up happening is that more women are going to die for a procedure they could have got safely done with a doctor. not only that, but the fact that they're criminalizing doctors, and there's a chance they can either get suspended or get their medical license taken away completely and be charged with a class 6 felony, I think is ridiculous. But I think because of these bills, it's going to get a lot more difficult in the future for these procedures to happen. And so, like, my thought process is, if they're constantly making it harder for women to terminate unwanted pregnancies, and it says there's very limited exceptions. So is that meaning, like, is rape not one of those exceptions? Is incest or the baby might not make it full term? There is so many reasons that someone might want to end it, just besides they don't want to have a pregnancy. But my thought process is, if they're having all of these people continue with this pregnancy anyways, are they going to pour more money into the foster care program? Are they going to pour more money into our education system, where we need more health services when it comes to providing, I don't know, like education on safe sex? They're not taking steps that are making it preventable in the first place. Mm-hmm. So now all these other numbers are going to go up. We're going to have bigger issues, and they've done nothing but try to push their agenda on other people.
I mean, like, Arizona's current abortion law is already heavily restricted against women anyway.
Yeah, it's already very hard.
If you have Medicare, you can't use that to get covered. For example, we have another one where if you are having an abnormal child or something's going wrong with the fetus, the medical professional cannot tell you that information at all, and you cannot sue them in fear of you doing an abortion. And yeah, it's just...
I guess one of the reasons that they just recently passed with Kevin is you can't have an abortion because there's something wrong with your baby. So say for example, the baby was going to have some deformity or something, like, there's a bunch of reasons why. Mm-hmm. That can't be one of the reasons you abort, or you can get criminalized for it. So, like, that again is another reason to, like, sit here and really think about, like, where's the good in this if, like, that child's actually going to suffer.
Yeah. And you got to understand, it's all about that child is great. Let's focus for the child. Let's make sure this child is going to be born. We have to make sure this child is born. It's going to have a good life. And then as soon as the child is born, we don't care.
Yeah, and these children become products of the same system that ignored them from the get-go. It's not that you care about an actual, like, child. It's, I think, more the principle against people's religions and their beliefs. But once this child's born, and a lot of these children are, like, you know, born into poverty, or there's a lot of risk factors here. But now when people are on welfare or on free healthcare and stuff, now these people are like leeches, and they're taking advantage of the system. But in the first place, you wanted them here, so you got to kind of pick and choose your battles and not be hypocrites about, you know, like, our healthcare system and our foster care system, because there's so many children that are in the foster care system, and all of these people, I'm not gonna, like, name exactly which organizations, but I think it's very obvious that when you're here preaching about you care about these children, there's children sitting in foster homes right now you can go do something about. How many children have you adopted? How many children have you taken in? I want to sit here and say that you'd probably say none. And I don't know exactly, that's not the case for everybody, but that's a majority. We wouldn't have such a huge problem with our foster care systems. This child can be adopted. This child can go in a loving home. Okay, like, there's a lot of them waiting right now. And we have a really big, overwhelmed system in Arizona. I don't see anyone doing anything about it.
There's no help being done, and they don't want to do the help. They want to stick to the standards of being that child has to be born. But like I said, once the child's born, they don't care. If you cared, well, I shouldn't say you, but, like, if the people who are trying to pass this law care. Like, for example, it has been passed. Sorry. For example, the abnormal fetus thing again. If you think that was the right thing to do, then maybe support that person who's going to have that child. If you truly do believe in that. But they don't.
No, but that goes against, like, not only it's like supporting the child like when they're born, but are you going to support the mother during the pregnancy, like with emotional, physical, financial expenses, all that. I don't think people sit there and think about how hard it is on women to also have a child. Like your body's going through all these things, and like let's just take all of this out as a factor as well. Like going back to like the foster care home system, the foster home systems and group home, like they're not doing anything. And people, if children are born like disabled or all these mental issues, there's not money really there or programs to help them, especially if you're like foster care. Like it's a really tough and brutal system that's been overwhelmed. There people, I know people were complaining about people that are on food stamps, but you know who like the majority of people are on food stamps? Like they can barely afford to feed their children. So I really just don't understand how these bills are helping anyone except feeding people's egos and their own religious beliefs. And if we're doing all of this to stop medical care when it comes to abortion access, which in my opinion should be a personal choice, I want to know like where this is going to go in a couple years with contraception. Like, are they going to pull back, which they kind of have already, pull back access to contraception? Is it going to make it harder for women to get birth control? Is it going to make it harder for women to get birth control on their medical plans? Some medical plans won't cover that. And so now like we go back into this new, like, I don't know, the system of like men essentially controlling a woman's right to choose. And the thing is, like, women aren't making these babies by themselves. Yeah. Like, it's a two-part process, but there's never any blame put on anyone except the woman that she should have been safer, she should have done this and that. But no, I was going to get into something, but it's like, we're just going to hit them with the facts here. But a lot of the people that have like gotten abortions, they tend to be in the higher class, and they tend to be like white women. And so I also want to see like, why is everyone putting the blame on, you know, poor middle class, or I'm sorry, lower class people when it comes to these types of medical access. But I don't know, where essentially do you think this is going to be like a cause in the future? Because my thought process is, if we're already limiting access to abortion care, I think the next attack is going to be like contraception for women, essentially. I think it's already like, I don't know, they make you jump through hoops for a bunch of stuff. So I in the future think that's exactly where we're going to go from here.
I think the ones who pass this law and want to pass even more restrictions,
which was already passed.
No, I'm talking about more restrictions.
Oh, I was like, no, this one was passed.
No, I know. I said I was like, the ones who pass this law.
Yeah, and the legislators.
Yeah, the legislators who want to pass, who pass this law and you're confusing me now. I'm pretty sure if they could have it their way, abortion would just be banned.
Oh, completely, for sure.
United States. And it's just, like, if you'll ask me, like, because I was even going to ask you, what do you think? Do you think that there'll be a change in the future? And like, I generally don't see.
I think we're going backwards. Yeah.
I don't see anything that's going to be changing. I do think what makes me a little glimpse of hope is that our generation and the generation before us are very progressive and very like pro-choice and think about people and think about others more.
So who's in office?
Mm-hmm. And if those people are generations and our generations even before, after us, like, I think that's very encouraging to our future, or at least America's future as well. But it's just, at least for the next 30 years, I'm just terrified.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot on this topic that we can go on, but we're going to be talking about voting restrictions next. And it's a little crazy how a lot of this just ties together and exactly what is happening down at
Arizona?
No, I'm just mad. Sorry. But Arizona, everyone is a little progressive here at Tomorrow We Vote, but we are nonpartisan, and we really hope you can join us on our next episode. We're going to be talking about voting restrictions, and we hope you guys are registered to vote. Update your voter registration so you can vote on,
election.
Well, yeah, just vote, but make sure whoever is going in office is voting the way you think. But we'll see you guys next time and catch us at TWV.